All right, welcome to semester 2. Okay, for semester 2, first of all, before that, can you please check your AA marks? All your AA marks are correct. There's been no mistakes. Everything is all right. So please check that your AA marks is correct. If there's anything wrong, then you let me know. On a second note, your manuals are all online. If you check under general and class files, all your manuals are there. I have separated all your manuals, your manual into different chapters. So you have chapter 1, chapter 2, so you don't need to open the whole big file and scroll up and down. Okay, so as soon as everything goes back to normal, if you can come back to campus, then of course we will print and then you can buy your hard copy of your manual. But for the time being, you would basically need to make do with the online manual. We have no choice. All right. Okay, so today I will introduce all the chapters and also or basically all the chapters that you're going to be looking at in semester 2. All right, and also your coursework breakdown. And also, I'll be going through a little bit in chapter 1. So today our class might not be as long. It will be a 1 hour plus class because it's your first class. So I'll just do a little bit of introduction to chapter 1. And I will give you an introduction to all your 8 chapters that you're going to be looking at. All right. So I'll actually direct you to another video right now. All right. So here we go.
Okay, so data types is the different types of data that you'll be looking at. Ungrouped data, group data without intervals, and group data with intervals. Alright, so I'll show you what this is later. We're going to cover this part later. Then graphs and charts. So chapter 1 is a lot of drawing of graphs and charts. So your next class with me is on Friday. So please make sure this Friday you already have graph paper. Because this Friday we will start with drawing the graphs and charts. You will have 8 graphs and charts that you're going to learn how to draw. So make sure this Friday you have your graph paper with you. Alright? Okay, so you'll be doing the bar charts, the line graphs, pie charts, histogram, dot plot, and stem and leaf. So your dot plot and stem and leaf is something you have never done before. This is really new to you. Alright, you've got to basic, this is new. Alright? Then you have chapter 2, which we will do next week. Week 2, measurement of central tendency. What's measurement of central tendency? It is mean, mode, median. You have done this in school, calculate the mean, calculate the median, calculate the mode. So this is something you have done before, it's nothing new to you. Alright? So you'll be calculating mean, mode, median for ungrouped data, for group data with intervals, and for group data without intervals. Alright? The method of it and basically the way of doing it is the same. It's just that the way you handle the data would be a little bit different. That's it. Apart from that, it is all the same. Alright? Okay. Alright, so the third chapter will be measure of dispersion. Alright? So what's measure of dispersion? Range, interquartile range, standard deviation, and variance. You have done this in school. But now you don't need to worry. Standard formula all given to you. You just have to know where to put the right numbers and so on. Interquartile range will be a little bit new. I will show you as we go along what this is. Alright? So this will be measure of dispersion, which we will do in the 3rd week. And in the 4th week, we will have box. Okay, where you will learn how to draw the box. Alright, using interquartile range. This is something new. You have never done this before. So as we go along, I will show you. Then you have chapter 4, which is a rather short topic, a very, very short topic actually, which we will do in week 5. Okay, what is measurement of skewness? Is when you have this, when your spread of data is not balanced. Like, let's say I take a bunch of students' marks and they are all good students. Most of their marks will be very high. So the concentration of the data will be like in the higher end. Or if I take height of people and most of them are short, the concentration of data will be on the lower end. So we're going to look at measurement of skewness, how do we repair it, and how do you look at spread of a data. That's skewness. Something new to you as well. Okay? Then chapter 5, you have normal distribution. I think this would be the easiest chapter actually in statistics. It's the easiest to score. Normal distribution, you've actually done it in school, where you draw the normal curve, the bell curve. Then I will teach you how to label the bell curve using the rule in the second learning outcome, and how to calculate your z-score. Okay, how to calculate your z-score. All formulas actually given, so basically all you have to do is learn how to draw the curve, how to label the curve, and how to calculate the z-score. Okay, so that's about it for statistics basically, which we will finish by the end of November and early December. And early December, we will start Introduction to Probability. So honestly, this is a fairly easy chapter, really not so difficult. So Introduction to Probability, where you will be introduced to it, then the probability of an event, meaning how to calculate the probability, what types of events that you have, the notations of it, that means like the U sign means union, the N sign means intersection, what does apostrophe mean. You have actually seen all these notations in school, you will just do it all over again. Alright? Then you have sample space in chapter 7. This will be in January. Hopefully by this time everything goes back to normal. We are back to face-to-face classes. So it will be easier for us to do probability in college, all right, where you'll be looking at sample space. So you'll be learning 4 different types of sample space, okay, of which one is list and greets. You have never done before. List is just simply listing down all your outcomes. Greets is putting them into a table, all right. Then you have diagram. Venn diagram is when you draw those bubbles and fill up numbers into the bubbles. It's Venn diagram. Alright? And then the other 2 sample spaces is tree diagram and two-way table. So Venn diagram and tree diagram you are learning in school. Tree diagram is the one that branches out, you know. Tree diagram is the one that branches out. Alright? And two-way table is when your outcomes are put into a table. This is something new as well you have not done. So you need to identify for each question which sample space are you supposed to use. So as we go along, I'll teach you. Sometimes the question already give you, sometimes no, you will have to identify this yourself. Okay, and then we have the probability law, which is chapter 8. Alright, all these laws is you'll be taught all the laws, and you'll be taught when to use the law. So when you see terms like and, which law do you use? You see terms like or, which law do you use? You see terms like given, which law do you use? So I will teach you in a very, actually in a shorter way. I won't teach you so many laws like that. I'll just teach you 3 ways to solve it. Okay? So which sample space are you supposed to use? You will solve it. And then as you can see, for this part alone, we have week 11 and 12, meaning we have 2 weeks. Why? Because this part alone, we have 53 probability questions to solve, which we will divide into 2 weeks, maybe about 27 questions in week 11 and another 26 questions in week 12. Alright, and then you will have revision in week 13. And week 14, like I told you, after Chinese New Year, that will be when your final exams will be. I strongly believe that you will all go back to normal and you will go back to face-to-face exams, which will be your, basically your 100 marks paper, your 50%. But if things don't go back to normal, week 14 will be your AA, the way you did it in semester 1. Just a few weeks ago. Alright, so let's move on to the more important part. Is your assessment down in your mark distribution. Okay, so your coursework is 50%, your examination is 50%, meaning it's divided into 2, 50 and 50. Same like before, you should already know this. But the last one, this was 20% because we couldn't do final exam. Alright, so if you can do a final exam, it will be 50, if not, it will be 20. Okay, so your first progressive check is in week 4, which is 3 weeks from now, end of this month, 23rd of November. Okay, so now I need to tell you, if you look at your timetable, Tuesdays at 3:30, you have nothing. Okay, Tuesday at 3, you have nothing. So Tuesdays at 3:30 will be when we will conduct your progressive checks. Okay, Tuesday at 3:30 is when we will conduct your progressive checks. So it will be similar to your AA. If things don't go back to normal, if things don't go back to normal, it will be similar to your AA. You will do it over Zoom, you'll turn on your camera, you'll submit your work through MS Teams. In a Word document, we will mark and we will return it back. Alright, so it is similar to your AA. So please make sure Tuesdays at 3:30 like this. Week 4, if things are still online, week 4, Tuesday 3:30, you have to block it. Week 7, Tuesday 3:30, you have to block it. If things don't go back to normal. If everything goes back to normal, then we'll just do it the way you did it last semester, where all of you will come in during that slot, we'll book a bigger venue and finish it up. Okay? Alright, so the first one will be chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Okay, so end of, by this month, 23rd, the November week, so it should be on the 24th of November, Tuesday, you will have chapter 1 to 3 being tested. Okay, and then week 7, a part of chapter 3 is here, which is the box plot I told you about, measure of skewness and normal distribution. So if you ask me, the first 30% is the easiest to score. So try to score your full marks here. Okay, because once we go to week 10, your third progressive check 20% will be tested on probability. A lot of students have problems here when it comes to probability. Because probability is where you have the long worded problems. All the long worded problems comes from probability. You understand? So probability is where you basically sort of have to be careful. Alright? Then you will have AA or your final exam in week 14, I showed you just now. After your Chinese New Year break, when you come back, 24th of February week, that's when you will have. So if it's final exam, all chapters. If it's AA, it will be mainly probability law application. Okay, so let's see what you're going to get. I believe it will be final exam. So let's see what happens. Alright? Okay, so these are the references that you can get from the library. For semester 2, I'll strongly suggest that you go books as much as you can. Number 7, a lot of our questions come from here. It is in the library as well. Or you can actually buy it from any bookshops if you want. Number 4 and 5 are all exam questions. You can actually borrow it from the library and try the questions out. So try to actually borrow the books. You can't just borrow one book and see that all the chapters will be full. It won't be like that because we have taken it from different books and compiled our manual. So it will be fairly some in this book, some in the other book. So from number 1 to 7, it is very widely used for your syllabus. Number 9 is a bit of a newer book. You can try to borrow that book. It's also quite a good book. Alright, and number 10 as well for statistics. Okay, so if you can access campus, it will be good. So you can borrow the books and actually do your revision as we go along. Because semester 2 is a lot of practice. Formulas given, I only can teach you how to calculate mean, how to calculate standard deviation. More than that, it is in your hands to practice. Okay, because I can't do more than that. Alright? Here, as you can see, is your lesson plan. I won't go through the lesson plan with you. Okay, we will try to follow it as close as we can. Alright, so I put up the dates here. So this week, for this week, we will actually cover all this in chapter 1. So for today, I'm going to cover the first part. Okay, I'm going to cover whatever I've just highlighted for today. Alright? We'll do introduction to data and tables. We'll do graph and charts. I'll show you what graphs and charts you're going to be learning. I'll go through the standard bar chart, component bar chart, and comparative bar chart. Okay, so you can go through the lesson plan here. It is actually given to you week by week, same like last semester. So we will follow it as close as we can. Alright, so if you would like to open your manuals, I'll give you about 2-3 minutes. Okay, you can open your manuals if you want. And we will start. So I'll give you 3-4 minutes for you to open your manuals as we go along. Okay. So today I will only use the slides to teach you. I'll share the slides with you later as well. I haven't shared the slides yet. I will share the slides with you. So you can start. You can proceed to start opening your manuals. All of you are here today. All right. Can I start? Is that okay? Can I start? Are you all ready? Yes. Okay, come. I'll share this slide with you, so don't worry. I'll also, we'll do it the way we did it in semester one. Some of you weren't my students, some of you were my students. So the first class would be lecture, and the second class would be revision questions. That's how I normally do it, okay? So now, like for this week, both classes will be lecture because I'm going to start teaching you now, and then we'll continue learning the next chapter. So for the following weeks onwards, we will learn it, then I'll give you questions. We will learn it, then I'll give you questions. That's how we will do it. First class lecture, second class revision questions. Okay? And what we'll do is, I'll also share the YouTube videos with you. Those of you who are new, I see some students who have not been with me before, actually. Alright? So usually what I do is whatever that we cover in the class, I'll usually give you a YouTube video as well, so you can actually go through that for revision. Alright? Okay, so let's, can you see the PowerPoint slides? I believe so. You should be able to see the PowerPoint slides. Can you see the PowerPoint slides? Just one person, can you see? So inside, all right, okay, perfect. All right, so chapter 1 would be data types and structures. So let's look at the learning outcome for this chapter. So in this chapter, you must know how to differentiate between numerical data and categorical data. So what's numerical data? Numerical data is numbers. Basically, whatever it means, numerical is numbers. And then you have categorical data, which is in categories, meaning it's in words. Okay, I'll show you later. Then changing the data, meaning when you collect data, it will be ungrouped data, right? You'll just list down your data, correct? How do you change it into a table? Whether do you put it with intervals or do you put it without intervals? How do you put intervals? How does that happen? Okay, so for today we will cover the first 3 learning outcomes. Alright, the 4th and the 5th we will do it on your group 5. We will do it on Friday. Okay, so the 3rd and 4th, which would be characteristic and application of each type of graph. You basically have 8 graphs that you are going to learn. And questions are not going to tell you, oh, can you draw pie chart? Can you draw line graph? You need to read the question and identify yourself what kind of chart you're supposed to draw. So don't worry, that keywords, everything is there. I'll teach you how to characterize it. Okay, how to actually see how to apply which where. Okay, suitable graphs and charts and how do you decide. This one I will teach you, don't worry about that. Okay, so let's cover the first 3 learning outcomes now. So, alright, wait, 1 second, let me, okay, wait, this is the wrong slide. Okay, we're here, alright, so let's look at the introduction to this. So descriptive, don't worry, you won't be tested on such theory. I'm just actually going to show you what this means. So the first one, descriptive statistics, is basically describing your statistics, that's all. Meaning you draw a graph to describe what's going on or you put it into a table, that's descriptive statistics. So meaning that if you want more questions on this chapter and you want to Google it to find more questions, this is what you Google, descriptive statistics. Okay, how do you draw a table and so on and so forth. Basically describing whatever statistics that you have in hand, either in a table or in graph. Variable is basically the variable that you are collecting, the data that you are collecting. For instance, if I'm collecting weight, then my variable is weight. If I'm collecting height, my variable will be height. Data array will be the raw data that you collect. That is like, I just write down my data, input data. Then I put it into a table, I put it into table with intervals or without intervals, that's my data basically. Alright? Then you have statistical inference. Is the process of arriving at conclusion and prediction, meaning after you collect your data, you come to a conclusion, oh, 85% of my students got an A, or 85 of them have 5 cars, or that sort of thing. Alright? So don't worry, you don't need to memorize anything like that, it's just telling you what all of this means. So since we are looking at data, There's only two types of data. One is numerical data and one is categorical data. Numerical data is numbers. Categorical data is basically categories, like size of your shirt, or place that you live in, the brand of your car, categories. Numerical is numbers, and numerical there are two types. One is discrete and one is continuous. So what is discrete data? Discrete data is data that has to be in a whole number, cannot be in decimals. Okay, and continuous data is data that has units. Alright, data that has units. Okay, moving on. So I'll show you now in detail. Numerical data is numbers. Example, number of cars that you own. How much do you spend on shampoo in a month? This is all numerical, right? How many times do you use online banking a week? Okay, like 3 times, 4 times, or maybe every day, 7 times. Okay? Then you have categorical data. Categorical data is basically not numbers. Which is categories. What model of car do you own? That's category, right? Honda or Mazda or whatever is category. Which brand of shampoo do you use? This is also category. How often do you use online banking in a week? Meaning in that week, how often do you use online banking? Alright? You see, there's a difference between these and these. How many times is number? How often can be once, twice, thrice. Okay? This is what you call categorical data. Okay, now there are two types of numerical data I told you. One is discrete, one is continuous. It's very important you know what it is. I'll tell you why in a while. So now discrete data, like I told you, it has to be in whole numbers, no decimal places. Such as number of cars owned. It's either you have 1 car or 2 cars. You cannot have 1.5 cars, right? Your shoe size, it's either it's 7, 8. Okay, this is a bit arguable. Of course, now you have 7.5, 8.5. But I'm just going by traditional sizes where it's 7, 8, 9, 6, 5, 4. Alright? Number of siblings is either you have 1, 2, or 3 siblings. You can't have 1.5 siblings. Number of employees, all this is whole numbers. So now how do you give your final answers? Because as we move on to chapter 2, chapter 3, when you calculate your mean, when you calculate your standard deviation, you must know how many decimal places your answer must be in. I must write unit not. How do you know? So things like this. If it's discrete data, and they tell you what the story is, that is they tell you, oh, car, people, you read your story, number of bottles, that one must be a whole number. So when you read story, must be whole number. And if they just tell you, this is a discrete data X, they didn't give you any story, you don't know what it is, then you will give your answer in 4 decimal places. You understand what I'm saying? So you must know the difference. No story, they just tell you it's discrete data, 4 decimal places. They give you a story, you round off accordingly. Okay, follow normal rounding rules. 1.8 people becomes 2. 1.3 people becomes 1. Alright? Continuous data is, as I taught you in semester 1, any data with units, percentage must be 2 decimal places. For semester 2, following these rules is very important. If not, you're going to lose marks. Alright? So continuous data is things with measurements and it is in decimal places, such as weight of a person. Read right? 67.3 kilos. Length of a stick. How long is the stick? Speed of the car. How fast are you going? With units. Reaction time. Volume of liquid in a bottle. Age of a person and amount of money spent. All this is continuous and it has units. Alright, and it will be in 2 decimal places with units. This is very important. Please make sure you follow these rules. So you read the question, oh, well, units must be 2 decimal places. See, the question will tell you calculate mean, calculate median, calculate mode. They're all in 3 separate parts. All 3, you never write units, half a mark gone. Half a mark gone. You don't want to lose marks like that. Alright? Okay, so let's just quickly go through this, alright? categorical or numerical, and if numerical, discrete or continuous, you need to know how to label these. So students' t-shirt size, of course it's categorical, right? It's small, medium or large, isn't it? Length of your thumb, it will be numerical, it's a length. And it's continuous because per units. Time spent waiting for the bus, it would be numerical and it would be continuous. Time is always continuous. Area in which you live in, obviously it would be categorical. Your address, postcode, this would be numerical because postcode is always numbers, right? And it would be discrete because first of all your postcode cannot be in decimals, so it would be discrete. Or you can also call it categorical data. Why? Because your postcode follows categories like Selangor or KL or whatever you have categories, right? According to the area that you live in. Your age is of course numerical, is numbers, and it will be continuous because you can be 8 years and 9 months old. You can be 18 years and 3 months old. So this is continuous. Okay, then you have data error. This is what I was talking about just now. So when you collect data, firstly you will have ungrouped data. Then you will have group data without intervals and group data with intervals. So now I will show you what this means. When you group the data into a table, you will call it a frequency distribution table. Okay, so let's take a look at what am I talking about here. So now if you look at this, right, do you see this? This is what you call ungrouped data. Meaning now you go and collect data, this is how it will look like. It will be random one. Right? When you collect data, it will be random. So this is what you call ungrouped data. This is also ungrouped data but rearranged in ascending order. That means they rearranged it from small to big already for you. Now, rearranging your ungrouped data is totally up to you. Whether you want to arrange or not is just totally up to you. Okay? So now, what is frequency? This one, what is this? What is frequency distribution table? This is frequency distribution table when you put it into a table. And there are two types of frequency distribution table. One without intervals and one with intervals. Alright? So without intervals is basically or zero repeats how many times. Of course, when you arrange it from small to big, it's easier for you to put it into the table because you can directly see it from here. 0 is 2, 1 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6. 2 will be 7 times, 3 will be 4 times. You can see it easily. But if you don't wish to do it, it's also fine, then you just count from here lah. Okay? So then you will put it into a table like this. But make sure when you already put it, you total up to check that your total is 30. A lot of students forget to do that and the table is wrong. After that, your further calculation will also be wrong, then it will be a problem. Okay? So make sure when you put it into a table and you total up, oh it's 30, then you're pretty much on the right track now. Group data with intervals is when there's intervals like this. You don't need to worry how to put your intervals. I know you're thinking, why I cannot put 0 to why cannot be 0 to 2 straight away? Can, why cannot can? But you don't worry. You don't need to come up with the intervals on your own. The intervals will be given to you in the question already. You just follow. You understand? You just follow the intervals given to you already. Okay, so like in this case, 0 to 1 is 8. 2 to 3 is 11. 4 to 5 is 8. 6 to 7 is 3. So you don't worry, in the question they will already give you the intervals, you just follow, put the frequency in. Just make sure when you total up the frequency, your frequency is 30. Are you all with me so far? Everything okay? All good there? Can? Okay, all good? Perfect. Alright. Let's move on to the second example. Actually, all this is in your manual. Today, you don't need to use your manual much. I'll just go through because these are all quite basic stuff now, right? Actually, in your manual, you're supposed to do it. If you go back to your manual and you see the soft copy, it's actually empty. You would need to do it. So if it was a face-to-face class, I would have made you do it. But now this is actually quite direct. So I'll just go through, you go along with me. Anything, you just stop me for repeat. So let's look at the second exercise. What kind of data is this? categorical data. Can you see? These are brands, right? So it will be categorical data. So when you have categorical data like this is what we call ungrouped data. So when it's ungrouped, it is in random order like this. Okay? So here we have arranged it accordingly. Of course, alphabetically. You want to do, you can do. You don't want, it's up to you. Some students like to do it because just to make sure that they don't make a mistake. Some students are well versed, they are fine. So now group data without interval. So how do you put it? Your category frequency. So Honda 6, Mazda 1. You can put it in any order. It doesn't need to be alphabetically ordered. Don't worry about that. You want to put Toyota first also can, no problem. Put it in any order as long as your frequency is correct. Total up your frequency, you get 20, you're pretty much on the right track. Alright, now what's happening here? Why I cannot put categorical data into intervals? Why can't I do that? You cannot do that. Categorical data cannot be put into intervals because it wouldn't make any sense. Such as this, Honda to Mazda 7. Would it make any sense for me to do that? Nissan to Proton 6. Toyota to, I don't know, there's no other brand there as well, 7. Wouldn't make it. So whenever it's categorical data, you do not put it into intervals. You cannot put it into intervals. Alright? So categorical data can only be done in two ways. Either you just list it out or group data with intervals. Either it's ungrouped or without intervals. Cannot have intervals. Okay? Example 3. So now you have annual salaries of 16. So this is ungrouped data. This is arranged in ascending order already. Now, how do you put it without intervals? Why cannot? Why cannot put without intervals? Why isn't it there? So now, it is because it wouldn't make any sense for me to put it, because it would be like that. Okay, 50,100, frequency 1. 50,200, frequency 1. 50,300, frequency 1. 50,900, frequency 1. 2. 51,100, frequency 1. Would it make any sense for you to put a tape? See, like this, it made sense. I can see. This one, the list will go on and on. The frequency will only be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Wouldn't make sense. So when your data doesn't have significant repetition, you cannot put it without intervals. Your data must repeat like this, like in one. You see, a lot of repetition in data is excellent. Then you can put it in a table like this. When it doesn't repeat, you cannot. Alright, so the only way that you can put it into a frequency distribution table is with intervals. And you don't need to worry what interval to use. I don't know lah. No need to worry. Question will give you, you just follow. Okay, if you look into your manual, of course don't have, because I'm supposed to give it to you. But in your question, the question already tell you. Group the data above into intervals of 0 to 100, 100 to 200. So you just follow. Okay, so when we're doing histogram, I will show you. Okay, which would be this Friday. When we're doing histogram, I'll show you how to put it into a table. So you don't need to worry so much about it. Alright, everybody okay there? So the intervals given, you just put total up, make sure they are 16, then you're pretty much total up. Okay, same goes to example 4. You can't put it, if this is ungrouped, you can't put it into without intervals because no repetition of data. 10, 1, 22, 1, 30, 1, 48, 1, 53, 1. The moment you have 4 or 5 data that only repeats 1, cannot relate. You can, because your list will never end. It will be just the same as doing an ungrouped data, isn't it? So you will put it into intervals. Again, you don't need to worry. You want to put into interval, the intervals will be given. You just follow, calculate the frequency, put it there, total up, make sure your total frequency is correct. You're pretty much on the right track. Alright? So now let's look at number 5. This is a common thing within students all the time. You know what is the problem? Students don't know how to identify which is my data and which is my frequency. So when they look at the table, they go, ayo, which is my data? Which is my frequency? It's very common for students to basically don't know which is which. So always read the question. There is a reason why there's a question up there. Annual salary of 12 employees. This is your data because that's what we are talking about. So this is your data. So this is your data. This is your frequency. Are you all with me? Will you see what's going on? Can, huh? Okay, so when you ungroup this whole data, 42,000 will repeat 2 times. 56,300 will repeat 3 times. 63,500 will repeat 5 times. 86,400 will repeat twice. So this is your data and this is your frequency. Alright, everybody okay there? Can? Okay, so now we will do exercise 6, say. Okay, so same thing here, table given to you, you need to identify which is your data, which is your frequency. So read the question. Number of family members in each family. This will be your data because that's what we are talking about. We are actually talking about the number of family members in each family. So 1 repeats 6 times. 2 will repeat 5 times. Do you see that? A lot of students will go, oh, this is my data. 6 will repeat 1 time. So they write 6, 5, 5. Wrong. Your data is this. And most of the time the trick is this. Your data is always arranged in order, in ascending order. Always, data is always arranged from small to big. That is another trick to see. Can you see? Data is always arranged from small to big. Data is never jumbled. You see here? Data is arranged from small to big. Always. Data is always arranged from small to big. It's the frequency that is always jumbled up. Okay, that's another trick to it now, right? But you must know how to see it as well. So when you ungroup this, 1 will repeat 6 times, 2 will repeat 5, and so on and so forth. Okay? So this is basically looking at data. So you, by the end of this, you know that there's 2 types of data, categorical and numerical. Numerical got discrete and continuous. You must know how to handle ungrouped data. You must know how to put it with intervals. You must know how to put it without intervals. So with intervals, you don't need to worry. As I told you before, it will be given, follow. Okay? So moving on to the next part, which would be graphs and charts. So today, because it's your first class, I won't use the whole 2 hours. Don't worry, I'll let you go a little bit earlier. Okay? So graphs and charts, let me go through. This will be something that I'll be doing on Friday. So make sure you have your graph papers with you next before your next class. So there are 8 types of graph and charts that you are going to be learning. You like it or not, you must learn all 8. Okay, all 8 you must know how to draw and when to draw. That is the most important part. Okay, so the 8 graphs would be, the first one would be a standard bar chart. Very easy. This first 3 I'm going to cover today. Alright, component bar chart, comparative bar chart, line graph, pie chart. All these you have done in school. You have drawn it before, but don't worry, we will go through from scratch. Dot plot and stem and leaf. These 2 is new. You have never done it before. I will show you as we go along. Okay, I'll show you as we go along. And then histogram. This also you have done. Okay, so in the next class, we will do the last 5. Today we will do the standard bar chart, component bar chart, and comparative bar chart. I'll just go through the bar charts. Alright? Look at the characteristics of a bar chart. Okay, I won't talk about pie chart today yet. We'll just talk about the bar charts. Everything you draw from now on, you must title. Just copy the question. In the question we'll have, draw a bar chart of the revenue of company A. You just title it revenue company A. Just copy the question. It is all there. You must label your axis. As I was marking your previous AA, I realized a lot of you are still not labeling your axis. Okay, you must make sure you label your axis. Color to show difference, I will show you what am I talking about. Please don't go and use color pencils and color. I'm not here to assess your art, okay? No need to use color pencil or. I will show you what am I talking about here. And legend, I will show you what is legend down here, alright? Okay, so moving on. The first bar chart is the standard bar chart. Okay, you have done this in school before. So if you look at the standard bar chart, right, there are 2 types. If you look in your manual, one will be looking like this, exactly like what you see here. And this is called vertical. The other one will be horizontal, going this way. You want to draw whichever is up to you. But if you ask me honestly, don't waste so much of time. I think drawing this way is faster. Okay? So usually bar charts are used for categorical data. All your bar charts are used for categorical data. That is to display category. It is used to display category. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? So now, if you look at this, there's one category, which is the hurricanes here. So if you look in your manual, they've given you all the numbers. You just make sure you draw correctly. No need to color inside, just draw only. Frank, Opal, Andrew, Hugo, Alicia, you just color. Label the axis. Okay, make sure you title. That's it. If you look at the data they give you in the table, the title is already there. Just copy only. Alright, so make sure you just copy and just get it done. That's not a problem. Alright, label your axis, label everything, and draw. So this is when you have only one category to show, then you draw the standard bar chart. When you have two categories to show, so if you look in your manual, they've already given you the data. Okay, component of, so this is what you call a component bar chart. When you have more than one component to show it. See here, you only have one thing to show. Number of reported deaths. Like here, you have two things to show in one. So you stack it up on each other, which is called the component bar chart. So for me, whenever I tell students the component bar chart, how to draw it, always draw it this way. So if you look in your manual, they have given you a table. Alright, it will be easier, just give me a minute. Okay, just give me a minute, I'll share it with you. Okay, so let's take a look at one second. On page 8, okay, so on page 8, when you look into your manual, you can see the employees by each department, sales and marketing, each male and female separately given to you. So when it comes to a chart, they will give you separately, so they want you to show each component basically. But what I want you to do is basically, okay, so what's the total first? Meaning you total up the total and you draw the totals first. Meaning for sales and marketing, what's the total? You use your pencil, you draw like a normal standard bar chart. Don't separate it into components just yet. So you draw the total, go down. Draw the total, go down. Draw the totals, go down. You draw the total for each. Okay, now once you are done with that, once you are done with the totals, then you separate them. Okay, so now male. So if you look in your manual, the male is 28. So you take a blue pen, you outline. Male is 28, you draw down. Then you go for finance. Male how many? You draw down. You just outline it with a blue pen. You understand what I'm saying? So you draw the totals first, then you just outline the male. No need to go and color, don't need to go and draw, no need to go and draw anything. Don't waste your time. Okay, so you no need to go and basically draw anything out of the ordinary there. Alright, so just outline will be good enough. Alright, so here you will label because the female is on top, right? It will be still in pencil. So the pencil line, female. The blue pen line will be male. So don't waste your time drawing stars, circles, or coloring them because it's an utter waste of time. So just draw the totals first. And then from the bottom up, you just separate them like that. Outline only, just outline only. Okay? Or you can even outline with a highlighter, it's up to you. Okay? So that is how you express and how you do a component bar chart. The third bar chart that we are going to be looking at would be a comparative chart. So when do you draw the comparative bar chart? When the word comparison is there. When you need to compare two incomes. When you need to compare two companies. So that is when you draw the comparative bar chart. Do you understand? So the comparative bar chart is when you see the word comparison. If the word compare is not there, the word comparison is not there, you cannot draw this chart. So this chart is fairly easy when you have more than one comparison to make. So let's say for 2003, you want to show revenue, expenses, profit loss. So you just draw them like a normal standard bar chart, but next to each other like this. Then you leave a space for the next year to just show the comparison. So make it easy, no need to go and draw, color. One you draw with pencil, one you draw with blue pen, one you just draw outline with black pen or highlighter. Then you show pencil is what, highlighter is what, blue pen is what. Okay, so you don't need to actually just go and color and all that. So that's about it for your bar chart. So what we have done is your standard bar chart, component bar chart, and your comparative bar chart. So these are the three bar charts that you are going to be doing. So standard bar chart, just to recap, when you have one category, you draw a standard bar chart. You have more than one category to show, you draw a component bar chart. When you see the word compare or comparison between this and that, then you draw a comparative bar chart. You cannot simply draw the comparative bar chart. The keyword must be there. So let's say you have more than one category to show and the word compare is not there, then you will be doing a component bar chart. Alright? All good then? Okay, so that's about it for our class today. Basically, I won't carry on much longer. Before I let you go, I need to check a few things.